let's see. Okay, billionaire Ted Nugent. He's Michigan, okay? Was motoring down Big Beaver Boulevard in his Ferrari and noticed all of a sudden that some elephants and zoo animals were wandering across the road. And let's see, he quickly pulls his car to a stop, shuts the door, and immediately gets out and tries to contain a group of school bus children who are going to see a play at the area. And let's see, then a very sexy woman who must be the school teacher or one of the parents who's with all the children thanks him for his help, and shortly after that he goes back to his Ferrari, grabs out his gun and happens to have some tranquilizers and shoots one of the elephants that was near the school bus and the children to protect them.
This is what is it?
It's supposed to be a
romance?
historical romance.
So we're gonna have to throw a time travel in there.
As the elephant collapsed, Ted looked at the beautiful woman and said, "Would you like to sit in my Ferrari for a moment to compose yourself?" And she said, "Yes, that would really be nice." He said, "Well, what about the children?" She said, "To hell with the children. They can take care of themselves, but I have more important things on my mind." So the two of them sat down, and Ted said, we could get out of this area. And she said, "Well, how will we do that?" And he said, "We just need to drive a little distance, and we can find a place that we can have some time alone." So she agreed, knowing that the children would be taken care of by somebody else, and that the elephant would, be dragged away back to the zoo. And she had some things that she thought that he could do. So he stepped on the gas, headed on 75 down towards Detroit, pushed the button, and suddenly the skyscrapers disappeared. It was open country, and you could see in the distance a small village of Detroit. He said, "I've been studying, there's some really interesting places that we could go. There's a brothel right on,
That street.
that street that just, I can't think about it, but there's probably a song that turned it into. Pardon?
Lot going down on Bogan.
Bovian, oh my God.
Right
Yes,
now.
well, it could have been Hastings too. And she said, "Well, that sounds like a really good idea." As she put her hand over his knee and looked at him, kind of with a smile, she said, "Aren't you a singer? Didn't I see you singing once before?" And he said, "I have a lot of tunes in my bag, lady."
Oh boy.
I got him out of town.
I'm from upstate New York, by the way. I've never, so I'm really at a loss. But that's okay.
Historical. None of us have been there either. So,
Okay.
whatever you say, we'll believe.
I've got a lot of songs in my bag. By the way, that whole abandon the children, and someone will take care of them, spoken like a true substitute teacher.
We'll take care of your lesson plan.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a lot of songs in my bag, lady. And And she says, as I seem to recall, one of them is called cat scratch fever. Damn, I wish I could make this paranormal. And
Why
she
not?
said, running her nails along his thigh. And as they blasted past horse carts and wagons in their Ferrari on a road that no longer existed, let's see, she,
Make it paranormal historical.
She just wants some zombies.
Yeah.
well, this cat scratch fever, she runs her nails along his thigh. Their clothes have changed. They're still in the Ferrari, but they're wearing whatever people wore during the time period that we happen to be talking about. And her nails, she scratched a little harder, and then a little harder again. Ted was starting to have difficulty keeping on the road that no longer existed. And her nails went through the cloth and into his skin, and she scratched up his leg. And then, to his astonishment, she bent over and started licking up the blood.
She's going there.
Which only turned him on more. And so he said,
Ah.
oh my.
Oh my, that sounds good.
He said, oh my.
Oh my.
Pass it to Marianne.
You can finish it.
And even though the volume of her skirts was very difficult to navigate in the Ferrari, in whatever time period we decided we're in, the hoops and stuff, she was still able to wiggle herself closer to him and started moving up his thigh. But as she started doing that, the fever started setting in. He pulled over to the side of the road as he started feeling cold yet hot, and it started perspiring. His skin started turning red. I just read about scarlet fever, by the way. It's filtering through. And he's like, what's happening? She said, don't worry, it won't be long now. Soon you'll be just another one of my pets. I love it. Slowly he started feeling himself getting a little bit hairy around the ears.
It is, yeah.
And he tried to talk, but it came out like a little bit of a growl. She started petting him, saying, just a little bit longer, it won't hurt so much. Then he reached over and pulled a gun out of the little
The box.
glove box thing that was by the driver's side for some reason. And while the locals came and were peering into the strange machine that seems to be in the way of their horses and carriages, and pounding on the window asking if he was okay. He started to lose his eyesight, but then it came back as in weird shades of green and yellow. I don't know, I can't see. And as he tried to fumble with the gun, as he started losing his fingers and they started morphing into paws. But he was able to pull off a round of the tranquilizer and stun her for a moment. That's all I got.
This is the strangest historical.
That sounds a little like Magic School Bus. And Marianne's gonna bring it home.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be a miracle too.
Sorry, I'll do with that.
As she lay stunned or shot,
I was stunned.
stunned on the ground, very beautiful in her lovely historical of that time period gown. And
he, with his furry, soft body, with the scratches and the blood down his thigh, was looking at her and looking at all the townsfolk who were looking at their strange, historically irrelevant vehicle, and deciding whether they needed to get a posse together or just to go with the flow, which they really didn't do in that time period, but we're gonna, since we're in the, whatever this is. He's looking at her and he's thinking, wow, she is beautiful. I could really go for her. And so she starts to wake up. He goes over and he just strokes her hair lightly, because this is a romance, right? He strokes her hair lightly and her eyes start to flutter open and she looks at him and thinks, wow, that's the dude for me. And he helps her up very slowly with her hand, running his paw up her arm around to her neck, and he gently pulls her to himself. And he's thinking, I gotta have me some. So he gently pulls her to him, and the townspeople are just in awe because they've never seen anything like this before. And they're like,